back to the Zero to Here podcast. I am your host, Denny Dumas. Producer Carl is in the house looking good. Carl, what's going on?
Not much, man. How are you?
I am doing very well. I'm very excited to share some inside details of my past little trip that I took a week ago. If you guys follow me on Instagram, on social media, you followed along. You saw the ups and downs. You saw some hilarious moments. You saw a lot of golf. But I just wanted to give a quick recap because it was a very, very entertaining and fun trip. It started off in Palm Springs. So just a little background. I've been going to Palm Springs for, I think this was my 8th year. I love to golf. I love to lay in the sun. I love to drink vodka, wine, beer, really anything. And Palm Springs is probably the greatest place on earth that combines all three. So it's a place that I love to go, and it's been a little tradition that a group of my buddies and I go down on a golf trip at the end of every November. So this year was no different. We did have a few extra guys though, and I've kind of taken the lead in terms of organizing the trip for the last number of years. And this year we had 7 guys, organizing for 7 guys that are all coming in on different days because of work schedules, because of family, because of, oh my God, it's an absolute nightmare. But it worked out really well. We had a great group of dudes. Some really interesting actually business conversations that I brought my little recorder. Some guys were not so into necessarily being recorded after they've had 13 vodkas because they didn't want to say the wrong thing and their wife or girlfriend or mother hear it. But I recorded them and they are now in Carl's possession and will likely be posted on the podcast in a week or two. So just wanted to share a quick little summary about the trip because it is awesome. And if you love golf and you love the sun, I highly recommend Palm Springs. Why I love it so much, the daily routine is that of a old retired man, but so fun at the same time for young dudes. Basically, every day we wake up at like 6 o'clock. We usually have a tee time at 7. So waking up slightly hungover most days, grabbing a quick coffee on the way to the golf course, and we're playing the nicest courses in the world. It's ridiculous. You feel like you're a celebrity because you're walking onto these pristinely manicured courses with greens that are rolling at like a 12 or 13, and every blade of grass is just perfectly manicured. It is absolutely amazing and so fun to do for a week every year. So golf round, again, I'm playing with my buddies. So it's so much fun every morning where we usually have some little cash games going on the first tee, playing match play. We played a bunch of like 2-on-2 match play with the guys. And I don't know, I'd say my record was probably like 4-3. So I'm going to give myself a W, even though I'm not sure if that's totally accurate. Alex Thierman, one of our buddies, was by far the best golfer on the trip this year. Low round of 73. I think he had 73 one day.
That's impressive.
That's 1 over par.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah. But I take the lead for the most number of birdies in a round, which was 4, and that was at Torrey Pines.
Was that the hardest golf course of the trip?
I'd say it was up there. And it was up there for a different reason than the Palm Springs courses. But I will touch on that a little bit when I get into San Diego. So back to daily routine. So waking up at 6 every day, quick coffee, playing an awesome round of golf at like an amazing golf course. And we're done golf at 11. And I love waking up early to play golf because it leaves me the rest of the day to enjoy the sunshine in Palm Springs. So usually we're back at the hotel by 11:30. Beers are cracked right away. Like 11:30 is the time that we start drinking every day, unless we're having beers on the golf course, which happens if you're not playing that well.
Is that what people resort to?
What's that?
Is people just start drinking beers if your game's not on point?
Yes. And it's not like a beer or 2. It's like, okay, where's the cart lady? I need 6 beers. Usually we'll grab a sandwich on the way back from the golf, hang out at the hotel, crush a sandwich, crush a beer. Lucas and I actually ran and worked out every day in Palm Springs. For me, it's more the obsession with the fitness, and I didn't want to lose any of the gains that I've had in the last couple of years. So, and for him, his wife had convinced him to go into this little running clinic group thing that was doing a 30 for 30. So they had to run for 30 minutes for 30 days in a row through the month of November. So he was kind of forced into it, but it was good that he had me to like keep him on track through that. So we do a quick run, and we'd probably be at the pool in the sunshine by 1:00, and there brought my little speaker. You bring a pretty stiff vodka drink over with you, and you're sitting outside in the sunshine for the next 3 hours, listening to some wicked country music and crushing a vodka. And it's
What's your go-to vodka drink?
soda.
Vodka soda?
Vodka soda.
Nice. I love
I
it.
do like splashing a little lemon in there, just for a little citron. But that's what I go to. I don't really like pop. I tend to stay away from pop. I don't
just feel
the
like shit after a while, yeah.
And it tastes, I don't know. I don't really even like the taste of pop. So pool time usually ends around 3:30. Then we're back for a quick shower, and we're planning what we do for dinner. We kind of alternated between like picking up food from a restaurant close by, going out for we went out for dinner a couple times, or just like grabbing some food. So the thing about the States is everything is cheap.
It's so cheap.
There's a Ralph's, which is like a big grocery store that's like 2 blocks away from where we stay in Palm Desert. And so you'd just drive to Ralph's after pool, grab like some steaks or burgers, or we did sausage and peppers one night. I'm really good at sausage and peppers. And we're barbecuing and we're eating at like 6:37, and it's just like crushing beer all day.
All day.
This is why I say it's like the dream life of a retired old man.
You have nothing to do.
You golf, you sit in the sun, you pass out in the sun, you're drinking all day, and then you barbecue meat and go to bed. We, for the first time this year, we got into poker. So we rented some chips there was like a little community center in our resort, rented some chips and played poker like 3 or 4 times, which was actually a lot of fun. And I recorded a few of those.
Yeah, there's some good discussions hidden amongst the game there.
If you're listening to those poker conversations, just put it into context. It was mostly me, Lucas, Anthony. I think Alex played once. I think Steve played once. I think Malcolm played once, but we're like 10 to 12 alcoholic beverages deep at this point. So just take what we're saying with a grain of salt and put it into context. But we had some pretty epic poker games. I think I did not win any of them. Lucas probably won like 85% of them.
Is he a big poker guy?
No, he sucks at poker. I outplayed the hell out of him. He just like would river everything against me. Right. I'd be like, this is an actual hand. I'd pocket 10s. The flop was like all 3 low cards. Then there was a king, which screwed me up a little bit. And then there was like a 4 or 5. And the river put him into trips. And he had like 3 4s or whatever. And this happened like 4 times to put me out of a game. It was ridiculous. Anyway, Palm Springs is an absolute Instagrammer's dream because there's so much to do. Most pristine golf courses in the world. Laying by the pool in the afternoon. There's some really good hikes. There's one that we do called the Bump and Grind, and that is the actual name.
Yep.
For 4 years, I had heard it be called the Bump and Grind. I thought that was just someone making fun of the name of this hike.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 years ago, I saw that there's actually a sign that says Bump and Grind.
Actual Bump and Grind, eh?
Bump and Grind. I don't know what that means, but
what's the hike like?
It's pretty mellow. It's a lot of switchbacks. It's up a deserty looking mountain. But the best part about it, and the reason that I like it so much, is that at the top, you're overlooking the most beautiful golf course in Palm Springs, in my opinion. It's privately owned by Larry Ellison, who is I think the CEO of Oracle.
Wow.
And I've never seen anyone on it.
Really?
Ever. It's private, so yeah. I'm sure it has like some members, but maybe like 20 or 50 celebrity members that never go there.
Or just close family.
And there's always like people cutting the grass.
Wow.
But I've never seen anyone playing it. And it's the most beautiful thing in the world.
That's crazy.
I'll send you some photos, Carl, so you can put them up so people can see like the view of this golf course. It's just unbelievable. I wanted to touch on some of my favorite things to do in Palm Springs. So obviously golf is at the top of that list. Favorite golf courses, so we stay in Palm Desert, which is kind of in the middle of Greater Palm Springs. So we're fairly close to everything. We are like a 5-minute drive from Indian Wells, which is one of the really prestigious areas, high-end resort. And they have 2 golf courses that were actually featured on a golf reality show called Big Break, which is pretty cool. And those 2 courses are like immaculate, amazing. And so I try to play one of those every year. They're expensive, but they're like next level in terms of like, you feel like a professional golfer when you're playing them because everything is perfect. So that's up there. There's a complex called PGA West, which is in La Quinta, and they have 6 golf courses. 3 are private, 3 are public, and the 3 public ones, they actually have a PGA event there every year, and one of the courses is called the PGA West Stadium course, and that's probably the hardest course I've ever played. It's really long, it's really narrow, and like missing fairways is detrimental. Like you're not finding balls, or you're like taking a 2-stroke penalty. Like it's insane, but again, so pretty. And the reason I love those ones is because of the design of them. For me, aesthetics is a big thing. Like I love views with real estate. Very aesthetically pleasing things attract me. And so this complex, this golf course, is like beautiful green fairways mixed with like yellow rough. So when you're standing on a tee box, you're seeing like green and then yellow.
So just a nice contrast.
Oh, it's so beautiful. I'll put some photos.
Awesome. Yeah.
That's so cool. And then my one other favorite one is called the Weston Mission Hills Gary Player Course. It's on the other side of the highway in Palm Springs. So Palm Springs is like a natural wind tunnel on one side of the highway, and on the other side of the highway is where most of the resorts are. This one's on the other side of the highway, so you can get really windy days where like I'll have a 140-yard shot. Usually for that distance, I'm hitting a pitching wedge, and I've hit a full 5-iron into a green and been short.
What?
Yeah. So a 5-iron, I'll usually hit like 205.
Yeah.
And it was just like dead into the wind. And I'm like, I have no idea what to do. I'm just going to pull this club and hit as hard as I can. Full 5-iron, short.
Wow.
Yeah. So it gets really windy in certain areas of Greater Palm Springs. So you kind of plan golf accordingly.
Right.
Stay on one side of the highway. But that course is amazing.
When was the first time that you've ever been to Palm Springs?
I think this was my 8th year. So 2010, 11-ish. I was probably 20 and just, oh my God, fell in love with me.
You just decided to go, or did you go with friends? Or
I went with her family.
Oh, yeah.
That's like Rick's favorite spot too. Yeah, he's there like 8 weeks a year. Yeah. So he introduced me to it, and I'm very grateful for that because I love it, and I've been going back every year since with buddies.
That's awesome.
Palm Springs is also really good for restaurants. They like literally right next door to our resort, there is a pretty good Chinese food place. Not that you want to eat Chinese food every day, but after about 12 drinks and sitting in the sun all day, a nice greasy Chinese meal is pretty epic once a week.
Oh yeah.
Once in that week. There's a Morton's, which is a really good steakhouse that we went to once. We found this ridiculous bottle of Pinot Noir that was like probably the best Pinot Noir I've ever had.
Really?
And it was at Morton's. This is a really low price point for a bottle of wine. It was $60.
Mm-hmm.
I would compare it with some of the bottles I've had that are like 120, 130, 140.
Really? Was that good?
And it was so good. So I took a photo of it, and I'm going to try to find it or like order online or something, because it was really good for a really low number in a restaurant like that. And then there's a street called El Paseo, which is Palm Desert. And it's like this ritzy shopping area with like really high-end stores. There's some really cool restaurants. And for whatever reason, I find it very entertaining to go into these high-end restaurants because the food is really good. But going to these high-end restaurants, Palm Springs is filled with mostly old people. I'd say 90% plus are like retirees or snowbirds that come down from Canada for 4 months a year
for the winter, just to get out.
And are staying there. So I find it comical to walk into these restaurants because they're fairly high end. People are like wearing suits and shit. And I'm wearing a backwards hat, a t-shirt, jeans, and flip-flops. And I do it on purpose just to see the people's reactions, because all the old people will look at you and be like, you don't belong here,
take
sir.
it so personally.
I'll be like, hey, buddy. Hey, George, how you doing?
Take that hat off.
I actually got asked to take a hat off.
Oh, I believe you. Yeah.
This trip. Going into Morton's. Apparently in the dining room, you're not allowed to wear a hat.
It's forbidden.
And I was wearing a hat, walking to Morton's with my usual flip-flops and t-shirt and backwards hat. And the lady says, oh, sir, can you take off your hat? And I looked at her confused and I was like, what year is this? And she's like, I know, it's just our policy. I was like, what the fuck is going on? And I was like, what is the actual line that I have to take my hat off? And she's like, when you enter the dining room. I was like, where's that? And she points to this. There's like a difference between, I guess, like a transition between like laminate or hardwood floor and carpet. And she's like, right here. And so I take 4 steps over on top of the line and like take my hat off, and she just starts laughing at me. Anyway, enough of my bullshit. But there are some really good restaurants. There's some really good Italian restaurants. There's one called Tiramisu that I commonly refer to as Tiramidou because Italian people take a lot of pride in their accent.
Oh yeah.
And I don't have it, so I prefer to make fun of it. There's lots of good shopping. There's a really good outlet mall that's like 30 minutes down the highway. That is massive. It's like, I don't know. It's literally like 2 kilometers long. You could be there all day. Marshall's is one of my favorite places to go there.
They're so big and there's so
Marshall's
much stuff.
is massive, and the selection of stuff is amazing. So it's really good for like high-end dress shirts. Like Ben Sherman is a brand that's there, and like all those shirts full retail are like $80, $100. Marshall's $19.99.
That's incredible.
They have an excellent selection of happy socks, funky socks that I love. So every time I think this trip I only got 6 pairs, but usually I'll go and get like 10 or 12 pairs because they're $3. They're
so cheap. Yeah.
Then we went to the store next door, which was like a shoe store, and they had a big selection of happy socks. Me and Lucas, because Lucas likes socks too. And we walk in there, and their happy socks were $4.99, and Lucas is bitching. He's like, "Oh, what? Let's go back over there. This is ridiculous." I'm like, "Dude, it's $5 for a pair of socks."
So how many pairs of socks do you think you have total now?
I currently own, including athletic socks.
No, just your funky ones.
Just funky socks. I'd say 70.
70?
Yeah.
That's a healthy number.
I love socks. I have everything from penguins to palm trees to robots to stripes.
So the wackier the
polka
better?
dots, golf socks. Oh man. I'm wearing puzzle socks today. Why not, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so that's my Palm Springs adventure. It is amazing. I love that place. Even at the end of November, early December, it's 24, 25 degrees every day, which is amazing. Great golf weather. And it is just a very fun, unwinding trip with the buddies at the end of the year every year. But this year we extended it. So friend Alex Thierman, best golfer on the trip, got a really wicked deal to stay at Torrey Pines. So for any of you that don't watch golf, Torrey Pines is a very prestigious golf course in San Diego. Every year, the PGA plays a tournament there at the end of January. It has also hosted a few US Opens, and it has another one coming up in 2021. So it is a very highly regarded public golf course in San Diego. So Alex watches this deal website, and he found a really good deal for Torrey Pines, but you had to use it at a very specific time. So he left a couple days early from Palm Springs, drove down to San Diego. Me and Anthony met him there, and so we got to. Usually it's a week trip for me at the end of November. This year was 10 days because of the extra few days in San Diego, and it was a pretty epic experience. So Anthony and I left Palm Springs on Sunday morning. Seahawks played at 10 o'clock that day, so I told Anthony we had to leave at 7 because we had to be in San Diego at a bar for kickoff. So we left at 7. It only takes about 2 hours, but we went to the hotel first, dropped our shit, and went down to La Jolla, which I incorrectly pronounced as La Jolla.
That's a little off.
Yeah, I was aggressively corrected by a local there. It's La Jolla. So we went down to like the La Jolla village, found a pub, and watched the Seahawks game. The Seahawks had a huge win. Sebastian Janikowski, which is probably the best looking kicker in football.
If you like ogres.
He's like 48, probably 280 pounds. Just has a beast of a left leg. Hits a game-winning field goal at the end of the game, and the Seahawks are now 7-5 and in a very good position for a playoff spot, and I'm looking forward to it. So Sunday afternoon, we just kind of hung out. We were staying on a golf course, or we were staying at a hotel that was literally on the Torrey Pines golf course, which was pretty cool. So we just got to walk around, went for a run around the course out to a cliff with like these pristine views. So again, if you don't watch golf or don't know Torrey Pines, it is a golf course that's on a cliff that is overlooking the ocean. So like the scenery is spectacular. Sunday night was pretty tame. We had a tee time at 9. I think we played at 9 o'clock on Monday morning. Got to the course pretty early. Had a little warm up and then teed off. For the first time in a long time, I had butterflies playing golf. I was nervous to hit my first tee shot, but I hit a pretty good one. And it was a really cool experience. The course wasn't in phenomenal condition because the PGA tournament is coming up at the end of January. So this time of year, they just like overwater the crap out of it to make sure that the grass is like in perfect condition. And then they just cut it down for the tournament. So the rough was like 3 or 4 inches long. And for golf, that is long. It's like this. So if you hit the ball in the rough, you basically need to be looking straight down at it to find it. Seriously. So for that reason, the round took a long time because you're like looking for balls all the time, even if you're a foot off the fairway. So that was a little bit of a frustrating point, but like the scenery was spectacular. I had a weird round that was very up and down. I had 4 birdies, which was really cool. Remember the holes very specifically that I birdied. So I'm excited to watch the tournament in January.
Nice,
and watch guys like make a par or screw up a hole and take a bogey and just be like, I could have beaten that guy. Shot 82 though, so I don't think that from the white tees, which is like, so this the other thing about this course, a normal golf course on the PGA Tour is about 7,000 yards. That's long for people that aren't that good at golf. The tees that we usually play are like 6,600. Torrey Pines, the back tees are 7,800.
What?
So it's like an extra 50 yards a hole comparatively to like a normal PGA tournament.
That's a lot.
So the reason that it's so hard is narrow fairways, it's super long, and the rough is crazy. So if you miss fairways, you miss the narrow fairways, you're in this bullshit.
And you're gone. Yeah.
And you're, on a par 4, you're in like 220 yards into the green. Trying to hit a 4-iron out of this 5-inch rough is impossible. Anyway, so after Torrey was a phenomenal experience. It was so cool to be able to play. That was really like the first big course that I've played other than Palm Springs, and that was a really cool experience. We went downtown San Diego that night, stayed the next 2 nights downtown San Diego, and that's where the trip took a little bit of a turn. I went from like golf adventure to let's drink a lot of booze and ride scooters all over the place. So San Diego, and I talking to an Uber driver, these things only came out 2 months ago. Timed it perfectly. Because in 6 months from now, they're going to be gone
banned.
because so many people are going to be injured or like died on these things. So like the Moby, I think they're called Moby bikes in Vancouver. You can like download an app, put your credit card in, and rent these scooters that are literally all over the place on every corner around downtown San Diego, and you just rip around on these things. And they're so cheap. So we got them up to 20.4 miles an hour, and there's a speedometer on the scooters. So like when you're going downhill, you're going quick. At 20 miles an hour with no helmet on a scooter is pretty good. Even like just cruising, you're like 17, 18 miles an hour.
That's pretty quick.
And so you're getting around. And we would, like every night we would use these things for 45 minutes to an hour, just like going from bar to bar. And they're 15 cents a minute. So at the end of your trip, you just like sign out of the app, and it says, "Thanks for riding Bird," was one of the names, the Bird scooters. Your total today was $3.28. It was like so dumb. And so we're like, how are these things so cheap? So the next morning, Tuesday morning, we woke up and went to the beach. Pacific Beach which was recommended by my sister Marty, who lived in San Diego for a year. I don't know if I told you that.
For school, right?
Yeah, she did her master's at San Diego State. Yeah. So she said, you got to go Pacific Beach. We Google it. It was like an 18-minute drive. So we're like, whatever, we'll just take the scooters. Little did we know you have to go on highways to get there. So Alex and I were ripping around on these scooters, and the scooters do have a battery life. so we're halfway there. We're 45 minutes into our trip. We're like, we take a scenic route, I guess. We're going along the water, and then we go over the overpass into like the SeaWorld Island, then back over the overpass to the other side where the beaches are. But halfway through the trip, our battery power is like blinking. So we're like, we got to find another scooter. We got to switch it out. So we have to stop halfway through and switch out the scooters. And anyway, we eventually get to this beach. It was an hour and 20-minute scooter ride, and it cost $12.28.
That's crazy.
So ridiculous. So we spent Tuesday at the beach, pretty awesome. Came back downtown. We Ubered back downtown, and we told our Uber driver that we had scootered from downtown to Pacific Beach, and she started laughing at us. She's like, "You guys should have videotaped it. That would have gone viral on YouTube." She's just making fun of us the whole time. She's like, and then she said, she looked me directly in the face, and she's like, "You guys are the reasons these scooters aren't going to be around very long." She's like, "You're not allowed to take them on the highways." And we're like, "We didn't know that. I don't know."
So did you guys just like find a station for them, or you just dump them?
You dump them anywhere.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Like Car2Go or whatever those services, they have like home zones, right? Where you have to dump them in the home zone.
Right.
There was nothing. You can just leave them.
That's so weird.
We randomly found two. When ours were blinking, the lights were off in the middle of a residential neighborhood. Literally, I hadn't seen a scooter for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Since we left out downtown, there was two there.
That's crazy.
Like, perfect. We'll take these two and drop ours. Yeah, so funny. The only other real thing that I want to say, and all the guys on the trip will make fun of me for this, I have an obsession with hats. Mm-hmm. I love hats. I buy a lot of hats. And it seemed like every golf course we go to, Travis Matthews is like my favorite brand of hats. Mm-hmm. And so they don't have many in Canada. They're hard to find. But when you go to the States, every single golf pro shop has like this big section of Travis Matthews. So as soon as I walk into a golf shop, I'm like beelining for this Travis Matthews section. And I'm like, oh, I've never seen this one before. I have to get this one. And so I brought 3 hats down. I came back with 11. And every day, Thierman is just making fun of me. He's like, "How many hats are you going to buy today, man? Seriously, how many hats do you really need?" I'm like, "I wear a hat every day. What the hell's the problem?" Anyway, so I thought it'd be funny to mention the hats thing. Anyway, that was my little adventure that I just came back from. I feel like I got a great tan, and I'm looking really bronzed. Most people think otherwise that I've talked to, but it was another phenomenal trip. Great group of guys, and I'm already looking forward and planning for next year, because planning for 7 guys is an honor. Thanks for listening. Later.